welcome back to another video by Models by me. This time we'll be unboxing Arc Models 1/72nd scale Fairey Barracuda. This is a very recent purchase. As you can see, it still even has the shrink wrap on the side of it. So what we'll do in the usual manner, we will have a look at the outside of the box, followed by the contents, the instructions, and then the sprues. And shake the camera in the process. Right, so a little bit of history on the Barracuda. So it was first flown in 1940, but was severely underpowered, actually having the same Merlin engine as the Spitfire. Well, and everything else in the RAF, pretty much. Until people pointed out there were other engines the RAF did use. It was introduced in 1943, so 3 years later after it first flew, it finally appeared. It was used as a dive bomber, as the Royal Navy, the Fleet Air Arm, had withdrawn all the skewers, which was the only dive bomber the Navy had at the time. Go look up the skewer, and it's and the Rock as well, both Blackburn aircraft. Yeah. There's a good video about the Blackburn Rock and skewers, so yeah, I'd recommend go finding and watching those. Back to the Barracuda though. So it did help out with in the Mediterranean with the landings at Salerno. Apologies if I did get that wrong. And it did also appear in the Pacific theatre. Unfortunately, in the Pacific, the low altitude rated Merlin 32 engines, this thing was equipped with, produced something like 30% less power just due to the humidity and stuff. So, aircraft that was already quite struggling as it was, had even less power and was quickly swapped out for the American Grumman Avenger. I think it's the aircraft that actually holds the record for being the largest single-engined plane during the Second World War. It's definitely bigger than the Thunderbolt. Back in the European theatre, the Barracuda was actually used as a dive bomber and did actually take on the Tirpitz, inflicting some quite severe damage that put it out of action for a couple of months, which thankfully meant it wasn't around when D-Day happened. Unfortunately, these things, well, they did last a while, but they were quickly withdrawn from combat. And used as trainer tugs and stuff. Well then, let's get on and open the box. Or have a look at the outside of the box first. Sorry, I've got camera mounted a little bit higher up than normal, so it's a little bit shaky. Right, so front out of the box. Gonna have to try and hold the stand steady. So we've got nice artwork of Barracuda in the Australian Air Force livery, just taking off from an aircraft carrier. And as this kit likes to demonstrate, it is the old classic Frog kit. Frog, the Nova. Can't quite make out this one in the middle, I'm afraid. So yeah, this is an old kit. It's even, as we go down on the side of it, I would believe that's the Russian writing there. Pause if you want to read that, or in English. Again, if you pause if you want to read that. But basically, it was a 1964 kit. So yeah. quite an oldie, this one, so I'm not expecting too much detail, especially on the interior of this thing. On the side here, got the same front cover box art. Arc Nova 72nd scale, that's the product code. The side here, again 1/72, some of the basic details. Not suitable for kids under 3 years old. 60 parts, and you've got the size of the model. Made in Russia, this one. And that's quite literally the same as the other side. Right, underside. Absolutely nothing. Some people say I should probably keep this sealed up as it will have some increase in value over the years. Unfortunately, as I'm doing an unboxing video, I've got to open it. So let's jump to me unboxing this thing. The moment of truth, what's inside. There's a box. Inside the box I have a box. We have the instructions. We have the decals. Not so bad, though. Why is the red separate again? I do not like that. That's my personal preference. The plane itself, in all its multiple sprues. I'll say this now. Can't quite make out with just the glare, but clear plastic. That is clear as anything. All the more shame there's no detail on the inside of this thing. Oh, I've been missing that kind of. Paint guides on how to paint this thing up, including the colours you need to use. Oh, sorry, mixture of the trainer aircraft. Some of them with none of these, and some of these that have the actual the camouflage and stuff, but doesn't tell you what paint to use. And the last thing, the empty box. So the instructions, quite literally printed, photocopied on the back of A4 bits of paper. So, different artwork this time. Showing the Barracuda actually dropping its torpedo. More writing in Russian, a lot more in Russian, as well as a bit in English. There you go, even mentioned the tour picture just there. Attention, useful advice. Study instructions carefully prior to assembly. Remove the parts from the frame with a sharp knife or a pair of scissors. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen anybody use a pair of scissors when making these models, unless it's with the decals. Right, let's have a look at the actual instructions. So start off, we have pilots, put them in the seats, so we can do the jelly baby test later. Propeller, stage 2. Do not glue the propeller into the front frame only glue it into that little plug at the back. That's if you want a spinny propeller. If you don't want a spinny propeller, do not worry about that stage. Step 3, landing gear. I should kind of be getting used to this, considering how early these are. Anyway, landing gear. Bit of an odd one for those that aren't aware of this, so, okay. Do not glue the wheel on if you want spinny wheels. It's an aeroplane. I don't think people are going to be that overly worried about spinny wheels. But this bit is, for those that aren't aware, what it's referring to there is this little bit of landing gear sticks all the way through the wheel, and then you use a hot knife to melt the excess plastic over, kind of like a rivet. But if you're particularly young at this and just getting into the hobby, either just glue the wheel and trim the excess off, or ask your parents for help. Step 4, the tail surfaces. Just glue the two bits together and then put the tail bit on. Step 5, glue the pilots in. Glue the... Well, I would assume that's either or. Oh no, beg your pardon, it is both. It's not clear up this side because I'm looking at this picture. It's not clear, I thought it was either or. But no, it is both. There's 2 windows. So yeah, glue them either side, use PVA or the equivalent stuff that's safe for clear plastic. Put everything together. If you've got a display stand and want to display this thing flying, cut the little notch out the bottom there. Once you glue all that together, put the propeller on the front. Nice and simple. Make the 2 wings, one already pre-assembled and one showing how to put the things together. Step 7, glue the wings on and then the canopy on top. Aerial, leave the aerial to last. While painting this thing and putting the decals on, you will knock it off. And guaranteed it won't go back in the same spot. Then glue the tail surfaces on, including the rudder. Yeah, it's not a torpedo bomber without a torpedo. Which I made a mistake earlier. Come back up here. I said this will be for a flying stand. We'll have a check in a minute. But I think that was actually for the torpedo, not the flying stand. So that's step 8. And on the next bit of paper, step 9. Yeah, there you go, for the torpedo. Couple of extra bits, including the flaps / dive brakes. So these were used as either flaps or brakes. The tail wheel's in 2 pieces, really. And the landing gear. So the landing gear on this thing's a bit weird. It's in an L shape. I say it's weird. Let me bring the box art back in because it shows it quite well here. So yeah, to counteract the fact that the wings are like shoulder height, or shoulder mount is what they refer to this. To save having all the frames and stuff, what this L shape, actually, well, I can't do it. But basically, this L shape will then fold up and basically just picture this bit going into this corner, and you can picture the rest of it. So yeah, quite an interesting landing gear, which hopefully, mixture there and on the front here, should come out quite nicely, quite a unique design. Oh, I nearly missed it off. There's a light you've got to glue on as well. Alright, that's the end of the instructions. Right, all the pieces, well most of them at least, because I've got a piece in my hand, which is the clear plastic, which is really, really nice. I said this earlier, I'll say it again. It is quite nice, quite clear. Only a little bit of distortion, actually looking through the glass. But yeah, really nice. And the framework on the canopy is nice as well. It's helps raised. And it's a little raised. So it's not going to stand out massively. But it's there so you can actually paint them up. So yeah, very nice. Put that back behind the box. Let's have a look at the fuselage. So yep, being a frog kit, we're getting the flash. I hope, whoops, flash in question. I hope those pegs aren't needed because I think, no, that's yeah, so only the flash is coming off, so I managed to move that just then. So we've got raised panel lines and the old slaughter wings. torpedo, not going to focus. There you go, focused. So yeah, quite a bit of flash at the front here. A lot of work. It's an old kit. Said earlier it was 67? 64 even, beg your pardon. But it's not too bad. You got like the moulded exhaust down there, which makes a change. They're normally separate pieces. But yeah, that's not too bad. And the interior, yeah, nothing there. The other side is the exact same. The dive brakes, you got raised panel lines again, which are quite faint, so not too bad. Interior, non-existent. Some random L piece of plastic. I'm guessing that's the corner of the mould. The wings, I'm only going to pick up these two pieces because it's going to be the same on both. The raised panel lines again, not too bad. It's a basic kit. Oop, piece 43. Bits of flash here and there, got to work on them. And yeah, pretty basic, Control surfaces, not so bad. And the propeller. It's a propeller. Sorry, going for kind of like the lackluster descriptions, but it's just like, it's an early kit. There's not a lot of detail on these things. So we've got the rear piece of the torpedo. I think that was to help stabilise it in shallow waters. Extra pieces, which I think were for the dive brakes. Could be for the wheels. Part of the rear. Yep, so unfortunately, yeah, well, I've got the part of the tail wheel, and there's the tail wheel itself. It's bent. That's a little unfortunate. That's going to need bending it back in place. Yeah, some of the landing gear bits. Not a lot there. Some of the flaps to cover up the undercarriage. So yeah, not too bad. I'm holding off the inevitable. Not a lot of flash there, but around the top there is. That's an interesting point. You've got the cooler here, or the air intake. I don't think there's literally anything. Just quickly checking the instructions. No. So yeah, you literally put the air intake in and you'll see all the way through to the other end of the plane. I think when I'm going to make this, I'm going to have to make a little cooler at the back there. Get a bit of plastic card or something, and maybe some fine mesh just to create a radiator. So, get back here. Kind of down pointer there. The spinner. More flash on that than Gordon. The wheels. Not too bad. They're not weighted, but I don't think the wheels at the time were weighted at all. Some of the extra struts and stuff. The seats, which are basic seats. Couple of extra bits. These for the dive brakes, I recognise those. So not too bad. So more control surfaces. So it'll be the ailerons at the back, the rudder, one of the actual bits tail surfaces there, and the cockpit, the plank of wood. Right, the pilots, jelly baby test. Which, despite the age, they're not too bad. Of course, I'm bringing it so far closer you can't actually see them. Yeah. But yeah, not too bad for the age, actually. Still quite jelly baby. Yes, the detail, there's basic level detail there, but heck, at least the the survival vests. I know the American one's the Mae West, but I can't remember what they call the life jackets. There's the word. At least they stand out like there's no tomorrow. Not too bad. And that's it. So let me bag and box this all back up again. And final thoughts. So final thoughts. It's a product of its time again. It's a 64 kit that survived all the way till, well, recorded this in 23, and they're still being produced. So, and I know Frog made a lot of these kits, and a lot of people still collect them where possible because they are generally good kits. That being said, though, there's no detail. They got very, very fine, like panel lines, but they're raised, so you're going to have to do some work if you want recessed panel lines. Again, if you want any form of cockpit interior, you've got to do that, or even just block off the radiator at the front, because it's a completely empty hole, so you can see all the way through to the pilot and radio operator in the back. Pretty certain it was the radio operator in the back. Though there was one thing missing. There was a navigator in the middle. And he's not in the kit. So, but despite that, it's a kit. It's an unusual aircraft, and it would be quite interesting to have on the shelf and part of people's collections. Oh, that's the end of the kit. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and comment if you made one of these. I will say if you've seen one, but unfortunately none of these actually exist. Unless you work in Yeovilton, the Fleet Air Arm Museum, because I believe they have relics of a couple that they're trying to rebuild. Again, because none of these unfortunately exist. So yeah, leave a comment if you made one of these before, and I wouldn't assume there's any traps to look out for, but I assumed all old kits are brilliant, but I know they're not. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, bye.